Welcome back. Let's talk about our next topic, HTTPS everywhere. And this is something that should be pretty familiar to most of you. HTTPS, as we know, is something called SSL and TLS certificates. Because HTTP without the S is a clear text protocol, it means that when we send information from the client to the server, it's in plain text. If anybody intercepts that message, they can read it. So SSL and TLS creates a tunnel known as HTTPS, S for secure. And this encrypts the information between client and server while we're making HTTP requests. For example, if I was sending my username and password to check with the server to show that, yeah, I am who I say I am, please let me log in, we're never, ever, ever going to use HTTP. If any website ever does that, run away, exit that website immediately, because your password is going to be sent over the internet, over the wires, for anybody to intercept and see. And it's quite easy to do. So you're going to see HTTPS in any website that has any sort of form or any place where you need to enter sensitive user information. So how do we get these certificates? Because what they're saying at the end of the day is that you are who you say you are. This website, Let's Encrypt, is using HTTPS because they've gotten a certificate saying that, yeah, this website is ours, we have the servers, and we are who we say we are, and we're not going to mess with your data. Well, at least it's saying that they have the certificate. And SSL and TLS uses some really high-grade ciphers that make it virtually impossible for anybody else to see what the input of that data is that you're sending over the wire. But there are ways that you can misconfigure or set up your server where you think you have HTTPS, but it doesn't actually. So I'm going to show you my two favorite ways to get HTTPS on your website. The best one is Let's Encrypt. You see, encrypting communication is not only about privacy, but also about users' safety, since it will prevent most attempts at tampering what they receive as well. So HTTPS, which Let's Encrypt provides, it gives you a certificate to have this S secure on your website, means that you have this trust for both sides. Now, in the early days, you had to buy certificates from certificate authorities, and you had to spend hundreds of dollars, and it was a really complex setup. And luckily for us, with Let's Encrypt, they're much easier to set up and free of charge. You see, a couple years back, this service launched to become a new certificate authority because all these other companies were charging so much for it. They're for profit. And they issue these SSL TLS certificates by being part of the Linux Foundation and backed by some really big companies, such as Google, Facebook, Cisco, Mozilla. The list just keeps going on and on. So you can really trust them because as a certificate authority that issues these certificates, you want to trust the party. Let's Encrypt has great documentation on how to get HTTPS set up for your website. Again, if you ever have a form on your website, you should be using HTTPS. And this is something that I feel like I keep mentioning in my courses because it is so important. Now, another option that I really like, and they have a free tier as well. And by the way, if you're thinking about GitHub Pages, yes, GitHub Pages also allows you to have static sites that are served through HTTPS. But Cloudflare is really, really good. They have a global network of servers that work as content delivery networks, something that we're going to talk about in our third part in the performance section. And by default, they give you HTTPS. So if you host your files with Cloudflare, you're going to get HTTPS out of the box. They also have the added benefit that they help against something called the DDoS, or Distributed Denial of Service attack. And that is when a ton of computers try to send the request to a server at the same time. If we go back to our example, imagine if we get 1 million machines or people at the same time to click send secret to this server. This server won't be able to handle all this information at the same time, and it could crash. And that's what a DDoS attack is. And people use bot networks to do exactly this. They can have devastating consequences because they take down your website or your server. Luckily, Cloudflare, with all their global servers around the world, has this basic DDoS protection out of the box. And there are other tools and other places that offer this, such as Amazon, but these are the two that I highly, highly recommend. So, if you've gotten anything from this, it's pretty simple. Use HTTPS. As a matter of fact, Google now, if you have a website with a form and you don't use HTTPS, they're going to have a badge here that says not secure. So again, use HTTPS to make sure that your data is always encrypted. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.